Hey there, and welcome to another DUALpreneur virtual mastermind. My name is Tara Jackson, aka Madam Money, and I am your host and founder of DUALpreneur. Hey, are you a full-time or part-time employee? You work for someone, but you also have entrepreneurial ventures? You know, are you that person that has multiple streams of income because you got multiple streams of bills? Are you the one that need their benefits and want to build their business too, boo? Are you the one that is a side hustle superhero? Well, you are a lovely dualpreneur. I honor and love you to death. And these masterminds are for you. We want to hashtag keep dualpreneurs in business. So we have a series of videos that we come in and talk about different subjects to help you build your business, sustain your business, and help your business to grow. Today is a great day. I have my big brother on here because there's a lot of us that want to get on radio shows. We want to get more exposure for our businesses. And we think that we have to wait for people to allow us to come on their platform in order to expand our exposure. Well, my big brother was like, nah, dude, not for real though. He started his own radio show. He built his own platform. And it started off at his house, I remember, because he had this laptop and he was doing it from his laptop. And no, he was doing it from his phone. And from his laptop, on his laptop, his cat used to walk across the laptop because the cat was like, this is my house, right? He went from there to owning his own studio, having his own radio station, having other people that pay to be on his station. So he is building that up. You think about Kathy Hughes. Kathy Hughes didn't start off with just Radio 1 that she's named. She worked up to Radio 1, and he is now working his way up to his own Radio 1. And I'm so excited to have my big brother, Michael McFadden. Woo, woo!
Whoop, whoop, whoop. Appreciate that, Madam Money.
Yeah, man. I love what you're doing.
Natural fornicator you.
Yeah, that'd be me. And of course, he lets me crash his shows every time I come in town because that's what I do. I just text him and say, hey, I'm crashing a show. And I stand him up sometimes because it's a morning show. And y'all know how the night before kind of affects the morning after. But he still loves me anyway. I appreciate that.
You're so welcome. You're always welcome here anytime. But thanks for the invite, though.
Yeah, and he told me that he showed me he has my picture up there with him, which was so
hold on.
cute.
I'll show you. Hold on.
I thought that was just so adorable.
Behind me. So we're actually broadcasting from Power today. So these are some of the guests that are on the wall. And like you have to be very special to make it up on the wall. And look at there. I told her I didn't just put it up there too because I knew we was doing this show today. You got a spot up here, Madam Money. You good?
I appreciate that. Make sure you don't take it down when you get off the camera, okay?
We'll see about that.
Yeah, work that out. Yeah. So thank you so much for being here and sharing your story and sharing some tips on how we can build our own platform and leverage it to expand our business and brand, because you actually are a professional in other areas, but you still built this brand and this legacy. And now people ask to get on your platform. So Michael, tell us a little bit about you, your journey, and then give us some tips on what we can do to build our own platform or online radio show or show.
Certainly, definitely. Well, first off, thank you very much. I had to say, like, you were one of my first guests I reached out to from a social media perspective back when we started doing Blog Talk Radio in 2009. And that's the date that it started. We crunked this thing back up in 2009. But going back a little bit further, originally I'm from Southeast DC. I grew up in DC until about 1987 or so. Moved down to Atlanta. I came down here my 11th grade year when I was in high school. In my 11th grade, 12th grade, and then jetted off into the United States Army. And I think, that 2 years that I was here in the A, like really, the 16 years in Atlanta, the 16 years in DC really, really taught me about the hustle and bustle. When we talk about dualpreneurship, and it's all about hustling and just getting out there and get it the way you need to. And then coming to Atlanta to see what structure looks like. those 2 years that I was here, and then going off into the military, it taught me a lot about who I was and who I could be, later on down the line. It was like right after, back in 2008, I think it was, when we went through the recession. From a corporate perspective, I've done everything from worked at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel here in Buckhead, in hospitality. I managed a Waffle House back in the day. Anybody ever been to a Waffle House and you hear them scream out waffle on 2, order scrambled cheese on 2, make one a plate, scattered, smothered, covered? I know exactly how to cook that meal right there. I managed it. Don't think I was just there. I managed it, but I did the Waffle House thing. I waited tables. Like, I did a lot of things to just figure out what I wanted to do in life. And it wasn't until about 99 or so when I got my real estate license here in Georgia, that really took my corporate career to another level, where I was able to, do very good in real estate. Worked for D.R. Horton, which is one of the largest home builders in the nation. I was their national sales trainer at D.R. Horton, and I attest all of that sales training stuff to my DC days, when I used to hustle up in Southeast, and just took that hustle mentality and just created I remember back in the day when I used to create these slogans and put them on t-shirts, and one of them said, legalize your hustle. And that's what I was able to do, was to flip real estate to that type of hustle, to where it was legal now, but use those same principles as far as sales was. So I became the national sales trainer for D.R. Horton. I was the director of operations for Metro Brokers here in Atlanta, like one of the largest real estate companies in the state of Georgia. I'm just going through this corporate phase, like, how in the hell did I get in this position? A dude that barely graduated from high school. Like, when I got my term paper back, in the 12th grade, and Miss Hollis gave me a D on my term paper, I was like, yes, I made it. I'm good. I can graduate. That's the type of student I was. But to take the hustle mentality that I had from DC and elevate it in corporate America, it was just a lovely sight for me to see. And I think it was during the recession, like right after the recession or during the recession, and I'm in real estate, I was hit very hard. My wife was hit very hard. She was a loan officer for Home Bank, and it was just like a tough time for us. And I was just thinking, okay, what can I do to take, to stay recession free, if there's really such a thing? And I wrote a book beginning in 2008, 2009, and the book is called Truisms: The Next Level. Can it be that simple? And I wrote the book, and once I finished the book in 2009, I started to think about, I remember people telling me, being a self-published author is hard. Like, it's all about the marketing and how you're going to market your book as a self-published author. Like, now in 2020, everybody writes a book, but let's think back to 2009, where writing books wasn't that type of thing to do. So what I said was, here's the deal. How about I start a radio show? Because Blog Talk Radio was just kind of popping off in 08, 09. How about I start a radio show? And I'll use the radio show as my avenue to promote the book. Genius. I got it. Because now I'm thinking, okay, if I can sell X amount of books per day, I can, my mindset is, what would it take me to be able to pay my bills by selling books? And I reduce it to the ridiculous. It would take X amount of books to sell per day to pay my mortgage or pay my, like, whatever the case may be. That's how my mind works. So I said, I'll start a radio show. And it was August 29th, 2009 on Blog Talk Radio. The name of the show was Real Talk with Michael McFadden. My first guest, it was a 30-minute show. My first guest was Clyde Anderson. Shout out to my man, Clyde Anderson. And the title of the show was How to Stay Recession Free. So I said, that's it. We're going to start a radio show. I think I thought of the idea maybe in the beginning of August. I said, here's what I'm going to do. Here's how I'm going to set it up. And then next thing you know, August 29th is the date. I'm going to start the show. And I started the show. The plan was to do a 30-minute show with my man, Clyde. We'll have people call in. I did some promotions, told everybody to come listen, blah, blah, blah. The day came. I think the show started at 6:30, if I'm not mistaken, Madam Money. It started at 6:30, and I can still hear when you're doing Blog Talk Radio, I can hear the lady counting down to say, your show will begin at 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And when she said that, like, I was just nervous as hell, because I could see the phone lines with Blog Talk Radio. You can see the callers that are called in and the amount of people that's listening, because I did this, build up to come listen to my show. And when I go back and listen to the show today, I'm saying to myself, oh my goodness, I sounded horrible. Like I was super, never done radio a day in my life. But the thing was, I listened to radio, so I kind of knew what to do. And after that show, ladies and gentlemen, when I finished the show, the first thing that came to my mind was like, oh my goodness, that was bad. And I said to myself, you know what? I'm gonna do it again next week. And next Wednesday, I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna prep it. I'm gonna make sure everything is cool, and we're gonna do the show again. But when I was asleep, Madam Money, just what kept playing in my mind was, oh my goodness, that show sucked. That show sucked. So the next day, I scheduled another show for the following day. I couldn't wait 7 days to do it again because I had to get that out of me to say, okay, I know I wasn't that bad. I was just nervous. So I scheduled a show for the next day. I didn't do any promotions. I told Clyde to call back in. Let's just do it again. And I did it without all of the pressure. And it was after that second show that I did where I said, okay, let's make this consistent. And that's where the birth of doing radio began with Blog Talk Radio. I was able to do, so ultimately we went from doing a 30-minute show and going back to the promotion of the book, like I never promoted the book on Blog Talk Radio. I really didn't. I thought that was the reason why I wanted to create the show, but deep down in my heart, what it was really about, it was about giving others a platform to be heard. That's what the whole mission with Blog Talk was about. Because yes, I'm thinking about as a self-published author, how hard it is for me to get on a Radio 1 or V103 or any type of big entity like that with not having any name recognition behind me. Nobody was going to accept it. So my thing was, let me create that platform for everybody, like your Madam Monies or your Coach Oliver Adams or your Clyde Anderson, people like that, to give them that opportunity to come and practice and do what they do, because it's kind of tough for independents to get that call up. That's what ultimately the show turned into, Real Talk with Michael McFadden. And it was super duper cool because what I was able to do was I took the show from being just a weekly 30-minute show. I upped it to an hour on Wednesday. I ended up doing a 2-hour show on Wednesday, and then I added a second day. So we went from being a 30-minute show once a week to 2-hour shows weekly. And that's where the whole thing with radio started for me. And I got an opportunity to interview a whole lot of people. I got Tommy Ford, Madam Money. I had Tommy Ford on the show. I'm thinking, like, how in the hell does that happen from somebody who just said, you know what, I just want to promote my book, but now all of a sudden I'm talking to Tommy Ford. I'm talking to Tisha Martin Campbell. I'm talking to some of my favorite celebrities over telephone. As a matter of fact, this is how I used to do the show, y'all. I would have my iPhone and I would just hold it just like this, and I would talk into my phone and I would do the interviews, listening to the guests from a call-in number, and I did it. And that's how it started. That's how this whole thing started. 400 shows later, now out of 400 shows later, and 8 years after that, now we have Power 108.9.
That's awesome. And I remember going through the journey with you. Even Cheryl Wood, friend from DC, she's been on there. She was
Cheryl, yes.
We've had her on as well.
You know what, Madam Money? It's funny you mentioned Cheryl, because when I came and did your event in DC, she mentioned that in her event. And when I talk about how far back Cheryl and I go back, I think Cheryl would still credit me as being one of her first radio interviews ever. And I always talk about how she had, I laugh at her because I could hear her kids in the background. I was like, what, did you get them monsters before you started the interview?
Yeah, and I think you all met. Did you meet face to face for the first time at the Boss Brunch?
Yep, that was the first time that we ever met. Time that we ever met.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and the thing was, like, when we talk about growing the brand from Real Talk with Michael McFadden to now what's known as Mornings with Michael and Friends, and before that it was Michael and Joy in the morning, and before that it was the Tony and Griff show with Michael McFadden. the thing about it, like if I had to give some cool tips out there when we talk about it, the first thing that you have to think of when you're putting a radio show together is you got to think about the reason why you're doing it. You know, in the beginning, I thought to myself, hey, I wanted to promote, you know, this truisms book because I wanted to become a millionaire, to be, you know, best-selling author, blah, blah, blah. But deep down in my heart, it was never about the book. It was about giving other people an opportunity to be heard. So that's one of the first things that you have to think about is the reason why. And one of the things that I tell all of my personalities is that if it's about the money, like it can't be about the money. I'm gonna be straight up. Like if you're looking to get into the radio business and it's all about the money, then you probably need to go work for a radio station. If you want to get your Instagram followers up, or you want to get, you know, booked to host parties and, you know, do clubs, promos and stuff like that, you probably need to go work for a radio station, because in our business, it can't be about the money. Not saying that you can't get to that point, but the why of it cannot be about money. That's like when I used to do counseling, or when I used to work with real estate professionals and we would do consultations with real estate professionals. I used to always ask them, like, why did you get into this business of real estate, selling real estate? And they would come to me and say, oh, I just love showing homes and I love working with people. And I'm like, come on, don't be BSing me. It's about that damn 3% commission, because 3% of $300,000 is $9,000. Let's be real with yourself. So when we talk about why I get into the business of radio, be real with yourself and ask yourself, why am I doing this? What's the purpose of it? Because then we can be able to work back from that. Because remember when I said that I'm the type of person that reduces it to the ridiculous, because now all of a sudden, if it's about the money for you, then what we have to do is put a advertising package in place for you to say, okay, in order for me to make this, then here's how many people I need to sell ads to. Or I need to email this amount of people to see how many people call me back. And out of those people that call me back, how many, that's how my mind operates. So figure out the why and what the reason is, or the reason that you're doing it. And then second of all, what's the purpose of your radio show? Like, what are you looking to do? Who are you looking to spotlight? Are you looking to promote yourself? Are you looking to promote others? Is your show a spiritual show? Is it about finances? Is it about, you know, gossip or entertainment? You got to define what kind of genre that you want to be in. But the best piece of advice that I could give you is that never title your show to a point to where you can't talk about anything else. That's some advice that I like, as we're talking about names of radio shows and what the name of your show is. I always remind people, don't box yourself in to be, you know, the Madam Money Gospel Hour. Okay, if it's going to be the Gospel Hour, guess what? I don't want to hear you talking about R. Kelly. I don't want to hear you talking about Beyonce. You have to keep it open enough to where when you need to talk about other stuff, you can talk about other stuff. So make sure you do that. And I got my notes right here, Madam Money. So that's why I'm looking over here. And these are the notes from the morning show too. I just didn't throw the papers away because I knew I was going to be using them today.
Well, see, that's a great thing for people to understand. It's okay to use notes, because one thing that I know from Michael, and I've been in the studio with him, he has notes, because notes keep you on target. Because when you're doing radio, even if you're a guest on the radio show or whatever, you have your notes, because radio professionals are looking for sound bites. And they need you to be short and sweet, you know, exactly. And not have a answer that's 30 minutes long. You need to have it, and it helps when you have those notes in front of you. So don't be afraid to have notes.
And I said that's one of the things that I had on my list too, is to understand, like, define what you are. Are you a radio show or are you a podcast? There's a difference. To me, there's definitely a difference. Because with me, when I think of a podcast, I just think of, because we offer podcasting opportunities for people to come to rent the studio out to do their podcast. But what we simply offer is this. We come in, we turn the microphones on, we hit record, and we let you talk about whatever it is that you want to talk about for that whole hour until you're done. And then we say, all right, thank you, bye-bye. Versus having a radio format, to where in radio format, like Madam Money said, like we're looking to do small pieces. If you notice, like in radio interviews, if you ever see anyone doing a radio interview, that radio interview is very, very quick. It's 3 to 5 minutes or so, because now I want to get that sound bite. I want to capture that one thing that that person said, and I want to take you out and go into a break. You know what I'm saying? That's the difference between a podcast format and a radio show format. All of our shows here at Power, they're all radio format. And the thing that we do here at Power is that we teach all of our personalities, and we do coaching on the fly. I had an opportunity to work with Griff. Like, Griff is now working with Erica Campbell. Get Up Mornings with Erica Campbell. And that was one of the brothers that really taught me about timing and how important it is coming into breaks and going out of breaks is when you're doing a radio program. So, you know, when you hear me in the morning doing the morning show, hey, it's Mornings with Michael and Friends on Power 108.9. When we come back, I got Madam Money in the building. She's going to be talking about her new book, blah, 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 blah. Don't go anywhere. It's Mornings with Michael and Friends right here on Power 108.9. That's something that's taught. That's a taught skill, and you have to be prepared to do that, especially if you want to take this leap into the business as it pertains to the timing and how important those things are. So just make sure, is it a podcast that you want to do, or is it radio that you want to do? The other part too is that you don't want to wait to create your show. That's a big thing with me. I have personalities. Every now and then we'll throw out a response saying that, hey, we're looking for new shows at Power. And then what happens is somebody hit us in their DM or their email us and say, hey, yeah, I'm looking to do a radio show. I'm looking to get started in August. I'm like, well, you ain't ready to talk to me. Hit me in August when you're ready to do your show, because what happens is you try to do too much prepping to create your show prior to doing the show. In order to create a good show, you got to do the show. When I did that first show, August 29th, 2009, I prepped it the day before and I did it. Like, I had no idea what I wanted to do. The thing is, you got to get those repetitions in order to be able to create your show. If you listen to Mornings with Michael and Friends, we have several segments that we do every day. As a matter of fact, everything is right here. This is the script. This first page is for sponsors that I shout out every day. These are all of our stories that we do on a daily basis. So I make sure I create and go in and do my research and pull my stories on a daily basis. But what never changes, ladies and gentlemen, and something that I created throughout the time of doing the show is I do what's called National Days. We do On This Days. I think that's at the bottom of, where is it at? It's on the bottom of this sheet right here. So for instance, today, did you know that it was on this day back in 1912 that the Ocean Lanier Titanic sank in the North Atlantic after hitting an iceberg that evening, killing 1,517 people. That's something that was created by doing the show consistently. And that's a lot of mistakes that some of our radio personalities make, is that we sit back and we try to make the thing perfect before we ever do the first show. And the thing is, guess what? What if it's not perfect? Then you're not going to do your show. Get in there and get the reps in. I don't know who is from Atlanta may know Rashawn Ali. She was a radio personality here in Atlanta. Carmen says she knows Rashawn. She has Sister Circle Live. And Rashawn and Rashawn has been a great mentor for me in this business. And one of the things she always told me is, Michael, just get the reps in. And what she was saying is that just get in there and do radio on a daily basis, because the more and more that you exercise that muscle of radio, you'll get better and better. And like I said, it's been 10 years now. And people always say, like, I don't realize the type of influence that I have on people as it pertains to radio. I really don't, because for me, I'm just Michael McFadden. You know what I'm saying? I'm just here doing my thing. But now, like, having that outer body experience and then understanding the people that you influence out there, because it was probably a few years ago, I learned the message. The motto was, it's not about who you know, but it's about who knows you. And then once you understand the people that know you, that's what really makes a difference in your life. And for me, it wasn't truisms that did it. It was being consistent in radio, and being a radio personality is the thing that separated me from everybody else. That's a DC accident.
That's awesome. And do you do coaching for online talent? So if somebody wants to get into doing online radio, prepare to get that job on radio or whatever, do you do coaching to help people to learn how to do it? Because you have to learn how to do it.
Yeah, I don't do it officially. It's not something I do. It's something that we do for all of our radio personalities here. That's part of the package that they get when they do a radio show here. But if somebody that just needs some advice or got questions or something like that, I'll be more than happy to give them the answers that they need.
And so if you all, I guess you got to put some perspective on how far back or how we know each other. So Michael, when he did the blog talk, we met online, right?
Hey.
Tommy Ford, right. So Tommy Ford was he was like my big brother. Tommy Ford introduced me to Griff. Griff and I did one of Tommy Ford's movies. I then met Michael in person because of Griff. And I had already been on Michael's show, and we met in person because of Griff, but that was because of Tommy. And
I'm trying to find, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Madam.
Oh, no. But that's how way back we go, and how the relationships really tie us in. And to see what Michael has become and is becoming now is like freaking awesome to me. Because I remember when he was on the Tony and Griff show, it was Tony and Griff with Michael McFadden. Now he's mornings with Michael McFadden. Now he's the owner of a freaking radio station. He's a proud little sister.
I went to Blog Talk Radio, and I pulled up the show, and it says, this week we're speaking with financial educator, host of Cash Chats. Do you remember that?
Yes, that was my Twitter chat. Oh, damn.
Host of Cash Chat, author Tara Jackson, aka Miss Madam Money. And did you know September is Life Insurance Awareness Month? So I don't know if this was the first time I had you on the show, but this is one of the shows that I had you on. And the date of this show looks like 4 years ago. So what was that, 2000? Yeah, 4 years.
2016.
2016.
No, I was on that. That's another time I was on. I was on there before then.
Yeah. So
I was talking about financial fornication.
Let me see if I'm sure I got it. I'm sure it's here. So, but yeah, it's still up here. It's still up here on Blog Talk Radio. And sometimes every now and then, like I'll play some old shows for like some of our interns in here. I'll play that first show with Clyde Anderson to let everybody hear like where we've come from, like from the old introductions that we used to have on the show to what we're doing now, just to show them like this is what consistency and bringing great content get you to, because those are the two things that I preach to all of the personalities. The two things I say is that you got to continuously bring great content, and you have to be consistent in what it is that you do. And one of the driving forces for me, Madam Money, when I was doing radio, is that there's always going to be that one person. Like even today in 2020, if I decided to say, you know what, I'm good with doing radio, I've accomplished everything I want to accomplish, and I just get out of radio completely, there's going to be that one person out there that's going to say, see, I told you he wasn't going to stick with it. And that's my driving force to keep me moving, because I know it's somebody out there, even 10 years later, waiting for me to quit.
All right. And you can't quit. Well, we're not going to let you quit. We're not going to, you're not allowed. So I can't
quit. I'm good. I'm having fun.
I don't know what to tell you. One of the things that you did mention was about putting the reps in. And you have to think about when you go to the gym, if you want to build that muscle, you have to do several reps, right? You got to be, reps are repetition. You got to keep it going. And a lot of people, when I tell them that I really don't like doing video, I don't like coming on the video, but they're like, oh, but you're so good at it. I'm like, because I've done it so much. So I know when I get the countdown, you're on, Madam Money, Tara Jackson, you're on in 5, 4, 3. And then I got to turn on, right? And so that is something that I had to practice doing, right? So I didn't just start doing and then be on Al Jazeera. I had to have practice to be on Al Jazeera. Your shows helped me practice to get on the Ricky Smiley Morning Show. Because I remember that. Yep. I remember that morning. I think I went on Ricky.
Still mad at you. I'm still mad at you. Don't even bring it up.
I think I went to Ricky Smiley Morning Show and then came to you.
No, let me tell the story. Let me tell the story. You chumped me off.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You chumped me off.
I don't know what you're talking about.
She came. Hey y'all, this is what she did. She came in. She came to. I think we was at Sensation Station back then. She came in with her little entourage, looking all cute with her makeup and stuff. And we did a quick little segment with her. Hey guys, Madam Money. She's in Atlanta. Whoa. Hey Madam Money, what you got going on? She did her little spiel, blah blah blah. And then as soon as we went to a commercial, guess what her ass did? She left and said, "Oh, I gotta go do Ricky Smiley. Bye, Michael McFadden." Yeah, let me tell the story.
So I don't remember it going down like that.
But you know what though? I'm just joking the way it happened. But that just shows the growth for me as a radio personality. Those are the moments that I crave for, to say, damn, I remember when Madam Money first wrote Financial Fornication, and she came on Blog Talk Radio with me back in the day. And now look at it, she's doing Ricky Smiley, she's doing Forbes, she's doing, because you recently did Essence too, right?
I did Essence Festival, yeah.
Essence, like, I remember all of that stuff, and to say that, man, I had her on Blog Talk Radio back in the day, that just goes to show, like, the platform that we were creating back in 2009, like what everybody is doing right now. And I love it. Hell, I even go back to Griff. Even working with Griff was on V103 and Hot 1079 back in the day. And we created an internet radio show, myself, Griff, and Tony, that we created. We did internet radio and was syndicated. And now look at Griff. He's on Get Up Mornings with Erica Campbell.
He put me on the he got me on the show.
Oh, you did.
Yeah.
Did.
So I've been on Erica. Yep.
Yep, those are the type of moments that we look to create. So when I go back to say, like, you got to know the why, the reason why you want to get into this business. For me, it's creating those type of moments, those remember when moments. And that's what I've been able to do for the last 10 years, to say, damn, I remember when I had this person on the show, and now look at him now. I say it's the Michael McFadden effect. Just plain and simple.
Yeah, it is. It is. So if there's someone who wants to start their radio show, what is a good platform that they can start on, or, they want to start their show to start getting practice and do that? What right now, what is, other than, working with you, what is a good platform that's out there now?
I'll be perfectly honest, guys. There are a lot of different platforms out there now, and to say which one is the best platform to go to, I couldn't tell you that. My platform was with Blog Talk Radio, and that was the whole thing for me with BTR back in the day. I'm sure they're still up and running, so my only recommendation would be go the Blog Talk Radio spot, but just do the research to see what fits best for you and what type of equipment that you need. The most important thing, like, besides the platform, is to make sure that your sound is right. Like, sound is key. Like, when I go back and listen to some of these old BTR shows, like, our sound wasn't bad because we were doing it over a telephone. But you got to think about, you want to keep somebody engaged. One, it has to sound good. So definitely invest in your sound equipment to make sure that the people that are on the other end listening, that they get a good sound effect from what it is that you're broadcasting. But just do your research and find out who offers the best services. And then the other part too, because that's a great question, Madam Money, and I had it written down in my notes, is that you gotta spend some money. Like, you're really gonna have to spend some money. When I first started doing BTR back in the day, it was free to do a primetime show. To do that 6:30, 7 o'clock show on Blog Talk Radio cost me no money. But probably after 12 months of doing that, they hit me with an email and said, hey, guess what? If you want to do this 7 to 9 slot that you're doing now, guess how much it's going to cost you a month to do it? $40. And we're just coming out of recession. And now wife is telling me $40. Hey, Negro, we ain't got $40 to spend a month for you to do your little Blog Talk Radio show. So my mindset was, going back, reduce it to the ridiculous. How can I get 4 people to spend $10 a month with me in order to invest into this Blog Talk Radio? But you got to make that investment into whatever it is that you're doing to make sure that that you have a platform to do your thing. And yes, definitely shout out to Survival Radio Network. I saw that Ms. Black. Shout out to Clark Garrison and prayers to my man Clark Garrison, because Clark was one of the first ones that really said, hey, creating a network, an internet radio network. That was, to me, Clark Garrison is a pioneer of that.
Yeah, Clark is a pioneer for a lot of things. So
Yes.
he definitely put a lot of people on and helped build their brand for that, and gave a platform for people to build platforms.
Yep.
So shout out to Clark,
Facts.
and he is definitely in my prayers as well. And so what we're pretty much saying is just do it.
Yeah, just do it.
Get the reps in so you can be repetitious, and so you can build that muscle and you can get comfortable in being in front of the mic, or, you know, doing your, whether it's a podcast, whether it's a radio show. And there is a difference. There's a whole different format. There's a whole different vibe from doing a radio show, even with the interviews. With a blog, the interviews can run 5, 10, 15, sometimes 35 minutes, an hour. But with radio, they're short and sweet. And somebody on the radio doesn't want to hear someone talk for a full hour. So you got to break it up. And then that's why there's commercials in there to break it up, the monotony. But you can leverage those commercials because people want to advertise. So you can charge for advertising and you can make money. So there's several ways to monetize from having an online radio show and helping to build brands.
And when you think about some of the things that you just said, Madam Money, like the power of doing in studio radio, like for me, like you guys know, I engineer the show too. So not only am I interviewing the guests, but even when I'm doing the other shows, I'm engineering the other shows, I'm listening to the show, because timing is everything in radio. Because now all of a sudden I have to be aware of how the conversation is going. So now if I'm listening to a show, and let's say Ms. Black is doing a show, and like the mood in the show is just fun and it's happy and they're laughing and having a good time. As an engineer, you want somebody on that other side of the board to say, okay, it's time to go to break. We're going to go out on this great energy. We're going to tease what's coming back, and then we're going to go out on the break, because now you left your listeners yearning to come back, because I want to be part of that energy. When you're working with a radio station or you're doing a podcast to where they don't catch that kind of stuff, guess what? You get to this high, and oh my gosh, the conversation is good, and then now all of a sudden
you got to break it,
lose it, and then we're going out. Right. That's the importance about the timing that I always talk about. You got to have people that's in the studio that really understand what it's about to deliver to the audience on the other end that's listening to your show, because that's what makes the radio show.
You know, Michael, what I'm hearing is that you're going to have to start doing some workshops and some conferences on how to do that. I'm just throwing that out.
Can I send you my writer?
Whatever. Anyway.
Sierra taught me about that writer thing, just FYI.
Yeah, whatever. And but I'm thinking that he needs to be doing some type of workshop or something. He needs to work that out.
It's cool. Like I would love to do that, Miss Madam Money, but like I'm about to say, I got freaking plenty of time now. That's why I was honored when you hit me and said, you hold on, I would go back. It was funny because when you hit me last month. Like, I think it was in March when you asked me to do this. And I'm saying to myself, I was like, March 15th, like, man, I gotta work that night. We got 20 years and counting tonight at 7, and after that is Rhonda's room at 8. I don't have time to do that. Not thinking that we was gonna be in damn COVID-19 state of mind. Then I saw my calendar, it popped up on my calendar the other day. I was like, well, Madam Money must have knew what she was talking about then, because I'm here.
I'm trying to tell you, but y'all ain't hearing me though. I've been telling y'all, look, y'all gonna be in the house. Y'all think May's gonna be okay? Nah, y'all still
May's gonna be okay. May is gonna be okay.
May is gonna be okay. Y'all not hear me though. Told y'all there wasn't gonna be enough money for the SBA loans. Y'all didn't want to hear me though. They ran out of money today.
I got my $1,200 today though. Yeah.
We finally found 3 people that got their. We got 3 people that got their money.
Hold on, I don't know if it was mine or Tasha's. It's one of ours.
Wow. Somebody got it. That's good.
Somebody got it, right.
So, Mike, thank you so much for sharing those tips. If we want to
welcome.
continue to follow you, at least listen to your show so people see how awesome you are, how can people get in touch with you and follow you?
certainly super duper easy. DC, the number 2 ATL. That's my personal Instagram and Facebook stuff. The radio station is Power 108.9, where we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different radio shows that we broadcast live all week, Monday through Thursday. That we do radio shows right now because of COVID-19. Everything that we're doing are just the best of shows. But May, I'm claiming it. May, everybody will be back. I tell you that I'm saying that. But you can also catch Mornings with Michael and Friends right here on Power 108.9. We are actually on a different schedule as well. We're now Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. So we do an hour show. We kind of changed up the time a little bit, but you can check us out every morning on Facebook Live, Power 108.9, or even on my page, which is Michael A. McFadden. So yeah, that's me.
Hey, Mike, you know what?
What?
I love you.
I love you more. Hey, can I tell you a quick story real quick?
Oh, Lord.
No, it's about the conference.
Okay.
So it was cold as hell when you had the conference.
Mm-hmm.
You remember that?
Yeah. What?
Yeah.
January?
Yeah. So I flew into Dallas, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
I decided to say, you know what? I'm gonna catch the train. I'm gonna catch Metro from Dallas to my hotel, because you had us in a nice hotel in downtown DC, which is super duper nice. And I was like, man, okay, I'm just gonna catch the train. The Metro run all the way to DC. Why not? So I get off my flight. First of all, I had to catch a bus to the train. So I called the bus, got on the train. Now all of a sudden, I jump on the train, and y'all know, if anybody's been to DC, the DC train, Metro, and the MARTA, 2 different ones. MARTA go north, south, east, and west. That's it. Metro, your ass will end up in Delaware.
For real.
Somewhere, if you don't pay attention.
If you don't get on the right one.
But the funny part was, I'm sitting on the train, I'm being as cool as possible, and I'm trying to look at the map without really looking at the map, trying not to be touristy. But when I get to the stop, the conductor says, next stop, Anacostia. And I was like, hold on, this is where I grew up at. I'm not on the right train.
And you from DC.
And I'm from Southeast. I was scared to go in Southeast myself. I said, hold on, let me get off this train. But I want to say thank you for that. That was an awesome event. And I want to say thank you to Madam Money. Continue to do what it is that you do. And that last book you wrote, girl, that's it right there.
Yeah, he keeps telling me he likes that book.
That's it right there. That's it right there.
Man, I'm trying to tell you. I love you, dude.
Cool.